In the early 1930s, rural China was facing an even greater crisis than the cities. A rising population, the natural disasters of 1931-32, Japanese aggression, and worldwide depression all contributed to the breakdown of China's rural society. It was not unusual to hear the cries of rural bankruptcy and rural collapse in the press and in intellectual circles in those days. To deal with these rural problems, various agents and organizations participated in the Rural Reconstruction movement. The most prominent leader in this movement was Yan Yangchu, a Yale and Princeton graduate, who usually identified himself as follower of Christ rather than Christian. As early as the 1920s, Yan Yangchu, 1893 to 1990, known as Y.C. James Yen in the West, had already started the mass education movement, MEM, and the Ding County Rural Reconstruction Experiment in Hebei, with the goal of solving China's rural problems. Having seen the influence of Yan's MEM in 1928, the nationalist government even invited the MEM to help with a literacy campaign in Jiangsu Province, the nationalist stronghold. Yan did not depend on any missionary organizations or government institutions for the intellectual-led Ding County Rural Reconstruction Experiment starting in 1926, but welcomed the support of those Chinese and foreign Christian organizations who were concerned with China's rural problems. Yan and his co-workers made a guideline for implementing rural reconstruction in Ding County, which included educations on general knowledge, livelihood issues, hygiene, and civics. These various educational programs were aimed at eradicating ignorance, poverty, poor health, and selfishness among the peasants. These rural reconstruction efforts had a broad influence within the Christian community. In the early 1930s, many Chinese churchmen became interested in Yan's independent enterprise. After numerous meetings and visits to Ding County, the Chinese Christian leaders asserted that rural reconstruction was an answer to the present crisis confronting us. Later, the nationalist government almost directly took charge of these rural reconstruction efforts. In May 1933, the GMD government specifically set up the Rural Rehabilitation Commission to formulate policies, institute measures, and strengthen the leadership in this movement. In the end, although there were many civilian organizations and agencies that were organized around and which participated in the rural reconstruction movement, on the whole, it became a government initiative. As professed Christians, Chiang Kai-shek and his wife, Madame Chiang, wooed Christians to help with the government efforts in China's rural reconstruction. Chiang once told George W. Shepard, a New Zealander who joined the American Board and was sent to China in 1926 by its Foreign Missions Department, the American Board of Commissioners for Foreign Missions, ABCFM, that we must organize the local Christians as soon as the armies enter a district, and Christian farmers and workers will be our right-hand men in establishing law and order.